Good morning, traders. This is a live trading video. The market just opened 20 seconds ago. I'm not going to have time to make a recap video today, so I figured I'll just record everything live. I have no idea what's going to happen. I might take no trades today. I might take up to 3 trades today. We'll just have to wait and see. So right now I've got my screener open on my laptop, and I'll show you that on the desktop as soon as I get a chance. But you're looking at my desktop screen, so that's showing my charts only page. And right now on the laptop, I'm pulling up my small cap screener. I'm organizing the list by volume, and I'm looking for stocks that are trading with over 500,000 shares and that are also up 5% or more in their percent change. So right now we have a handful of stocks, actually just 3 that are over 500,000 shares, and one of them is kind of hovering around 3%. So there's nothing to put on the charts page as of yet. That's pretty normal at this time. It's only a minute into the market open. Things will change. So right now I have a chance to show you the screener that I'm looking at, and you can see exactly what I just told you. So we're going to go over to my screeners. I'm going to use my small cap screener because that is the type of stocks that we are testing right now, is a small caps at the market open. So I'm organizing the list by volume, and you can see here SEV is the #1 traded stock with 2.3 million shares, but it's only got 1.3% in percent change. So it has to be over 5% for me to even put it on my chart. And other than that, we can only go as low as ALVR as of right now, because that's the only thing that has 500,000 shares or more. There will be more moving up, and that's why I have my filters set so that they don't filter out volume. I want to see the stocks kind of as they're moving up. If I have it set for 500,000 shares where it's going to just kind of not show me all of these stocks, then as these things come up into 500,000 shares, I won't see them unless I refresh or restart my screener. I think the only thing that I could do to catch that is do this, click those 3 little dots and click modify, and then it kind of resets the screener and it'll show me stocks that popped into that level. So that's why I don't use that volume filter. So anyway, we're going to go back to the charts page. I'm going to mute myself for now, and I'll get back on as soon as there's something interesting. I don't have a way to pause the recording, so I just let it roll. I also like to just let it roll anyway so that you can see like nothing is going on in the meantime. Trading wise, that I'm trying to hide from you. You're going to see my entire trade day, whether I'm doing anything or not, up until 10:30 is the maximum. That's when I stop trading. So this potentially could be an hour-long video. Hopefully it isn't, but we'll see. So as I said, right now I'm going to mute myself, and I'm going to keep this screen open. The video is going to be running. As soon as you see this pop back up, that probably means something interesting has happened. So if you don't want to just sit here and watch, you can scroll through the video and wait till you see this pop up on the screen. I'll be back. I think while I am waiting for something to happen, it's probably better to leave the screener open so that you can see the stocks that are coming into the screener. So let's make sure that's refreshed. I'm going to organize the list by volume. And again, we're interested in stocks with 500,000 shares or more that are trading up over 5%. So our IoT is getting pretty close. So we might actually have something here to look at in just a moment. So let's just keep things going here. I'm just refreshing the screener on my laptop. I really prefer to have the screener open on my laptop and not, say, on another screen, because it's just nice to have it independent of the computer that I use for trading. So that's just preference. You don't have to do that, but that's something I like to do. So let me see here. There's Riot. So it's at 3.3% right now. We also have SLI that's coming up, but they're still below that 5% threshold. So let's go back to the charts page, and even though these things are way below the 5% threshold, I can pull them up on the daily chart and decide whether or not there's something we need to be watching when they do get over 5%. Just excuse me for one moment. Okay, sorry about that. So let's go to the charts page and pull up these stocks. So let's look at Riot first. So this, see how this is below the 200 MA on the daily chart? That's an easy dismissal. We don't need to worry about that stock because it's obviously in a long-term downtrend. So even though it might pop up today and make some huge run, that's not the strategy that I'm testing. I'm testing a strategy that trades with the trend. So we're only interested in stocks that are trading above the 200 MA line on the daily chart. Even if it's one candle above, at least then we know, okay, this thing is starting to uptrend. But right now, this thing is in a downtrend, and reversal trades are pretty risky. That is a strategy you could test, but you would have to be testing that specific strategy, in my opinion. You shouldn't just like tack that on to some other test that you might be performing as a trader. So that's that one. Now SEV is starting to get up near 5%. Let's take a look at that one. So Riot we're going to ignore. So SEV doesn't have a 200 MA line, and therefore we can't trade it. So that's that. Very simple. And the thing is if we start trading stuff that's outside of our strategy or criteria, it messes up all of our data. So SLI is very near 5% right now, so we could take a look at that one. So this is something I've traded in the past. I know that. That's why all these lines are here. So this one is just below the 200 MA. So unless it makes quite a push, then we can't really we can't trade it. Simple as that. So the 200 MA is at 770. So it would have to get over 770 before we could trade it. Let's see where it was in the pre-market, or how high it was in the pre-market. So this is the previous day high. 733. And if we go back to the daily chart, we can put a line out to let us know where the 200 MA is. So a bunch of things would have to happen in order for us to be able to trade this and not break our plan. And we will not break our plan just to take a trade. So yeah, 770, and I can't see, it looks like it's at 772 according to this bubble, so that's kind of weird. Well, we can look at that purple line on the smaller time frame and see where it is exactly. Okay, so the line is at 772, so we need to lower that. Let's see, this thing's lagging a bit. It's about time for a new computer for me. This thing's pretty old, so I wouldn't blame this on Webull. And 772, let's see if we can get it down to 770. All right, there we go. Okay, so what would have to happen here is this price would have to get over 770 before meeting our entry criteria, and then we could possibly trade it, but that's a long ways off. Let me get back to the screener here. You have to be careful to not take too much time away from the screener because you could miss something else. So SLI is just now at 5%, but again, it has to get over that 200 MA. I don't see anything else. I'm going to restart the screener one more time just to make sure I'm not missing out on anything, and we'll see. Nope, the screener's still fairly dead. So let me go back to the screener page, and I'm going to pause, and then I'll be back as soon as there's something interesting. Let me just refresh this one. Okay, I'll be back. All right, so while we have a moment here, you might be wondering why, if I'm testing small cap stocks, why don't I trade something like CYN? These are not actually small cap stocks. They're going to be micro cap or nano cap. We can check right now. And that would be a whole nother strategy to test. I know there's some traders out there, some well-known traders out there that claim that they're small cap traders and they lump a bunch of things into small cap stocks. So I just don't find that a scientific way to test a strategy. If I'm going to test small cap stocks, I'm going to use the textbook small cap definition. And there is a difference between the way the price action moves in small caps, micro caps, and nano caps. So it's not something that I think you could really lump in all together, at least if you're trying to test a strategy. So here's my small cap screener. Let's look at the nano cap screener and see where that CYN stock falls. So you can see the market cap got much smaller for the nano caps. Okay, so it's not on this screener, so it must be a micro cap. There it is right there. So it's a micro cap. Here's the market capitalization. That's 61 million. So we're looking at $300 million market capitalization up to $2 billion market capitalization. So this is nowhere near that. And these things are going to move in a lot more unpredictable pattern than the true small cap stocks will. So whatever's working with small cap stocks doesn't necessarily work with these micro cap stocks. So that would be like a whole nother strategy you'd have to develop and test in order to trade these micro cap stocks. So we're already 87 trades into the small cap test. And worst case scenario, if we took every trade that we've taken so far and held to 3R, we would be up 15 times our risk right now. And if we just use our first entry as a signal, we would be up something like 24 times our risk right now. I went over that in the last video. So anyway, this is the small cap screener. We're back on that and looking for something that's going to move. So GPRE has over 5%, but it does not have the 500,000 share requirement. So that's not going to meet our criteria. And lately, I would say since the new year, I mean, I had to take a big break during December, but since 2022 started, small cap trading has been a lot less active than it used to be. And I'm sure it's going to come back. It always ebbs and flows. But there's been so much kind of market turmoil lately that the small cap sector has been relatively dead. So it just is what it is. And there's no reason for me to change my strategy because of that, because I know that this works and it's just a matter of time before the market comes back in to kind of fit my strategy better. And if I try to adapt to the market, I'm more likely to just spin my wheels and constantly try to change and find, well, what's going to work for today's market? Well, by the time I figure that out, the market is going to change again. So I just don't see that as a possible solution, although you hear that very often. You need to adapt to the market changes. Well, unless you have a bunch of strategies that you have personally tested for over 100 trades for all different types of market conditions, I just don't see that as being a possible solution. You would have to be trading for probably decades to come up with that many strategies that you've actually tested. And I'm not a big fan of back testing. You might be thinking, well, why don't you just back test different strategies and apply them right away? Well, when you're trading individual stocks, that doesn't work because the individual stocks are constantly changing, the ones that are moving. They don't move in kind of a steady pattern over the years. So the back testing just doesn't work, in my opinion. If it did, you would see a lot greater than 5% or 10% of day traders being profitable, because I know many traders back test, but not many traders are profitable. So anyway, I'm going to pause and we'll get back to this as soon as there's something interesting. Hopefully there is something interesting. Otherwise, this is just going to be a video with a lot of talking. So, but we're only about 15 minutes in, so anything can happen. I'll be back. Sorry for all the dead air, but I'm trying my best to use my time as efficiently as possible. This morning I have an appointment at 11 that I can't be late for, and it is what it is. So I realized I should have a banner that I can pop up on the screen that says I'll be back or something like that. So I'll work on that for future live videos. And right now I'm going to pull up IMAB, although it's still below our 5% threshold. It's getting close, so I figured we can look at it on the daily just to see if it's, yeah, so this is one we don't need to worry about. We can dismiss it. It's in a downtrend. We don't want to trade against the trend, so that's a no-go for us. We haven't looked at SLI in a while, but it hasn't done anything interesting, so it's just one of those days. When you have a very specific criteria that must be met, you're going to have plenty of no trading days. If I show you my spreadsheet, I don't have it open right now, but we'll be going over it again soon. You'll see that when we started this test back in the fall of 2021, there were many trade days. It was very rare that we had a no trade day, but ever since the new year, it's just been a lot more dead. So that's all it is. You might see GPRE down here. We can look at it, but this is actually not on my screener on my laptop. One of my rules is that I only trade things on the first page, and my laptop screen resolution is a little bit lower than this one, so it shows less stocks. So the last stock on my laptop is EXK. Now that may seem arbitrary to say, well, that's where I'm going to draw the line because that's all that's on my screen, but it's not, because whatever is from here and up are the highest volume stocks being traded in the small cap market, right? If I go down below that, if I scroll to the next page of stocks, these are stocks trading with a lot less volume. Here you see one with 7%. That sounds great, but it's got no volume, so it's going to be very difficult to trade. It may not actually move the way you think it will because there is no volume behind it. So that's the reason why I don't do that. So, but just for fun, since there's nothing else going on right now, let's take a look at GPRE on the charts. So we can get rid of IMAB because we know we're not going to trade that. So GPRE is not really going to be tradable unless it breaks out over that 200 MA line. And the other nice thing about that is if it does that, you know that, well, actually, we know already it's well over the 5%, so we're good there. We just needed more volume to come in. It's still under 500,000 shares. But let's take a look at the pre-market and see what it did there. All right, so it's already broken over the pre-market high. It might have already given us our signal to get in without 500,000 shares, so that means that it's a no trade, that we can't trade it. So we'll just check that. If it did, then we definitely disregard it. So if this thing had 500,000 shares, which I would guarantee you it would have moved differently than this, because volume has a huge effect on the way the price action moves, but we would have been triggered to take an entry here. Obviously, we would have been stopped out, but that wouldn't have never happened because this thing did not have the volume requirement. Then let's see. Yeah, so anyway, this thing we can't trade because we would have already been triggered to take an entry. That's really the bottom line. So no matter what happens to this thing on the screener at this point, we can't trade it. So the best thing to do is to just get rid of it so that you're not distracted by it or say trick yourself into taking a trade on it, and focus on what else is on the screener. So let's go back to the screener now. So IMAB, again, that one we looked at, it is below our daily chart criteria. Yeah, that's it. So we have ESTE that's now over 5%. It's coming up near 500,000 shares, but again, this will not be on my first page on the laptop, so it'll have to really bump up in volume. Right now, the lowest stock is Quadruple U, with 694,000 shares. So it really needs to increase in volume in order to pop up on my screen or on my laptop. And that's really the one that I go by. This is just up here for you guys so that you have something to look at. But you can see the small cap screener, lots of red today. It's just not a good day for small cap stocks, and that's really been the situation for many days since 2022. It just is what it is. And again, as I said before, this is the strategy that I'm testing, and I'm not going to change it just because there's something else going on in the market. I would be having to rewrite a strategy every few months if that were the case. So it just doesn't seem very efficient. So anyway, let's mute for now. And as I said, in the future, I'll have like a I'll be back or something like that up here so that you can you'll know exactly when I am on the mic and when I'm not. So anyway, for now, we're going to pause. I'll be back. So you might be seeing ESTE, and I'm wondering why am I not looking at that? Because on my laptop screener, as I explained, that's the one that I go by. The lowest stock on the first page is SLI. So that is as low as I can go on the screener. Other than that, these stocks are just too low volume relative to the rest of the small cap sector. So yes, my threshold is 500,000 shares or more, but they also must be on the first page of my screener on my laptop. That is written explicitly in my trading plan. So if I did anything other than that, I would be breaking the plan, and whether the trades won or lost, the data would not be useful. It would just skew all the data on my spreadsheet that we've been tracking the results of this test with. So anyway, that's that. In the meantime, I did make an I'll be back sticker, or I guess picture, whatever you want to call it. I'm not sure if it's going to be on this computer already. Not yet. So yeah, I made it on another computer, and I paused my OneDrive, so it makes sense that it's not here yet, but it will be here definitely for the next video, so don't worry about that. Anyway, I'm going to pause right now. I'm probably going to have to cut the video a little bit early today at 10:20, so hopefully something pops up before then. If not, this is going to be it. So I mean, it is what it is. Some days are like this when you're trading, and the main thing is I have to try to get a trade when I can, because I can only trade at the most Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday right now, and we're trying to finish up this test. We have 13 more trades we need to take, but we have to take trades that meet the strategy and meet the criteria. Otherwise, the data is useless. So it is what it is. I wish it was more exciting, but it's just the way the market has been this year. So anyway, I'm going to pause for now. I'll be back, and we'll see what we can do, if anything. All right. All right, guys, I think I'm going to wrap it up here because it's getting close to 10:30. Normally, I always go to 10:30, but today I have an appointment at 11 that I can't be late for, so I'm going to have to wrap it up. And at least we got a trade day in. There was no trades, unfortunately, but we tried, and that's all we can do. The best thing that you do as a trader is stick to your plan every single day. And if nothing meets your setup criteria, nothing meets your stock daily chart criteria, then you don't take a trade. Simple as that. It's always better to have a no trade day than a red day, especially when that red day is because you broke your plan. It's even better to have a no trade day than a green day if you broke your plan to get that green day, because that's not something that is going to be sustainable. So anyway, we're all done for the day. I'm going to be back tomorrow. Hopefully I can trade till 10:30 tomorrow. I should be able to. So we'll get a nice full hour in, and hopefully there'll be something to trade. As always, go in every single trade with a plan. Stick to that plan no matter what. Always take your stop losses, honor your profit target, and in the long run, you should be green. Take care.